What's up, guys? Welcome back to ClevverTV. I'm Jocelyn Davis in the studio with Dana Ward.
Hello.
And we are super excited to have joining us in the studio for the first time ever.
Yep.
It's Grant Gustin. You guys know him from Glee. Sebastian.
The mean Sebastian.
The resident bad boy. What do you
know.
like playing a character like that?
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot different than me, so I'd like to think anyway. So I have a lot of fun doing it. It's great.
I would love for you to take us back in time because this is like your big breakout role from what I've heard.
Absolutely.
How did you get this job? Because so many people out there would probably die to be in your shoes.
I initially actually auditioned for a different role on the show. It was for the first episode of the season when Lindsay Pierce, one of the Glee Project winners from last year, did Anything Goes. And there was a tap number. I was on tour with West Side Story at the time, the Broadway tour, and submitted a video for that number to just tap dance.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, and they liked me, and I had a call back and didn't get it. And but they were like, we want to fit you in later into the season, and you're kind of like, cool. I mean, you don't really believe that. I was just like, I knew they liked me, but like, we're gonna fit you in later onto Glee. But they really did call me later when I was in Costa Mesa with my tour and called me in for Sebastian. I actually didn't know I was going in for Sebastian at the time. I just kind of was meeting with Robert Ulrich, the casting director, and they had me sing a song on the spot, and I didn't have anything prepared. I just thought I was there for
What'd
the
you
meeting.
sing? What'd you choose?
I sang Jason Mraz's "I'm Yours" and Queen. What else did I sing? A Crazy Little Thing Called Love.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so those are the two songs I initially sang for Sebastian, and then I had a call back like a day later, and I had 2 shows in Costa Mesa that day, and it was like a Saturday was the only time they could see me for some reason, so I drove down Saturday morning, did an audition at like 9 or something, and then drove back and did 2 shows, and then found out 2 weeks later that I got it, and I was in Arizona and had to leave my tour, and it was crazy. It was like a whirlwind, but
all worth it, right?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Flash forward to Smooth Criminal. I love that performance.
Thank you.
Bring us back to that. What was it like shooting it?
It was really cool. That's still definitely one of my favorite days of filming I've had on the show. Me and I had a lot of freedom that day too, because they were filming there are a lot of times they're filming 2 episodes at once on the show just because they're super busy, and they were actually doing the synchronized swimming episode at that point where the proposal.
Yeah.
And so Zach, the choreographer, came over and spent a little bit of time with us, and there was those chairs that we were kind of circling.
Yeah, right.
And he kind of gave us like a basic pattern as to what to do with the number and kind of like walk here, do this, do that, and then he was like, gotta go. So then he left, and that was at like 7, 8 in the morning or something, and we hadn't worked on it prior to that, and it just kind of we're winging it the rest of the time. It was fun. I mean, there's not much happening in that number, but we had a lot of freedom. It was really, really fun.
There's a lot of intensity though in there for sure.
And with the cellists and everything, incredible.
Who are amazing, yeah. Everyone like
people.
Yeah, I know, and it's like their arrangement. It's like exactly like that. Yeah, my brother had actually. My brother sent me a video like a week before of those guys playing, like before I knew I was doing that song.
No way.
It was like Welcome to the Jungle or something else they were doing on YouTube. Like, he was like, look at these guys, they're awesome. And then a week later, we were doing, I found out I was singing Smooth Criminal, hadn't heard it yet, got to the studio and heard the demo, and I was like, this sounds so familiar. And it was those guys. Yeah, it was really cool.
So what was it like then to meet the cast as your peers? Were you nervous on that first day?
Oh yeah, I was nervous for the first like 5 days. I mean,
not gonna lie here.
No, I mean, not because you don't know what to expect first of all, because they're all like superstars and really talented superstars, and you don't know what they're gonna be like as people. And thank God they're like the nicest people in the world. But I wasn't sure what to expect. So yeah, it was definitely a little daunting meeting everyone on the first day. And just because you go right into working at like 8 in the morning, I think we started filming our first scene. Of course, and the Lima Bean was my first scene, where Sebastian always is, with Darren and Colfer, and yeah, that was kind of crazy. It was like 2 of the like bigger dudes on the show at that point.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was crazy, but they're super nice and made it really easy to kind of jump in.
I love how you were saying Colfer, Darren, you guys like go way back. Is there anyone in particular on the cast that you kind of bonded with early on?
I would say they're all my friends at this point. They're all really easy to get along with, but definitely Kevin McHale and I have a definite bond. He's a cool guy. He reminds me a lot of my brother, actually. We're pretty good friends now. He's a really nice guy.
Well, we're getting nervous because this season is starting to, shooting is still happening, but it's getting close to wrapping up. Mm-hmm. And we were kind of talking before we started shooting that there's going to be a lot of, loose ends tied up this season. What do you know about this approaching graduation? Who's going to make it through to next season?
Well, whatever I know, I'm not going to tell you.
Come on.
But to be honest, I don't know that much. Yeah, but there is a lot wrapping up right now. Like, the last time we saw, I mean, Diana was in that car, Quinn was in that car accident, and no one knows if she's okay. So there's that, and there's the marriage happening, there's people graduating, there's a lot to tie up, and I honestly don't actually know what's happening. So I'm kind of waiting on the edge of my seat just like everyone else.
What about Sebastian? I've heard that there's talks that you could potentially become a series regular, which would be incredible.
That'd be amazing, yeah.
Is there anything happening? Can you elaborate on that at all?
I can also honestly say that nothing official has been decided. So there's a lot of other decisions to be made first, I think, before that decision is made. But I would love to be around as long as they'll have me. But I don't know. I don't really know what's happening. So
Can you remind us what year is Sebastian?
It actually hasn't been stated. But I won't tell you. But there, at one point, it was in the script, I think, for Michael. I said what year I was, but it was cut. So I don't know if...
So you know!
I know what it was at one point.
It might have changed.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to say. But I have in my head an idea of how old Sebastian is. I'm sure everyone does roughly, but I know what year they said he was, and no one else does.
Might we see a softer side?
Yeah, well, there was the apology the last time we saw him, which I was really, really hoping was coming soon, just because it was getting a little out of hand. I mean, he was going to go to like juvie soon if he kept it up. I mean, he put Blaine in the hospital, which totally wasn't cool.
And then poor Karofsky. Oh my gosh.
Right, and I think that kind of shocked Sebastian into reality, and there's hopefully we'll see some backstory. I have ideas in my head of what some backstory is. I don't want to say too much, obviously, because maybe the writers will actually give me some backstory at some point, and I don't want it to be different. But I've got fun things that I like to play for Sebastian, and the last episode was definitely really cool to see that other side of him. And I think the reason that apology surfaced was, I mean, it was a tragedy, but it was a really nice reasoning for that surface of the apology, just because there's so many, it presented a lot of ways of creating a really cool backstory for Sebastian, for that to be the thing that kind of shocks him into reality and being like, what am I doing? The decisions and actions I'm making are really affecting other people. So, and I think it's kind of nice that we're maybe having a little break from Sebastian for a little bit, because when the writers bring him back, they can kind of go either way with it.
True, redemption. Perhaps.
Yeah.
So speaking of like the bad side of Sebastian and everything, when you first made your debut on the show, were you getting a lot of tweets and just response from fans being like, no, don't do that, you're evil?
Totally.
What was that like? I mean, we know you're a nice guy in person.
It was weird, and I'd been using Twitter before all of this started happening, so initially when I started getting a lot of mentions and stuff from new followers, I was reading all of them and kind of looking at it, because I was used to doing that with my Twitter. And I had to stop doing that because it was really affecting me. Because a lot of the Glee fans are really young too, and have a hard time separating an actor from a character. And my character's awful, and I wouldn't like him either if he was a real person. So I mean, he's a great character, but he's not likable. You hate him.
Right.
And I got a lot of that when we first met Sebastian.
Have things changed a little bit?
Yeah, I think people have seen me a little bit more since I've been around a couple months now, which is nice. But like I said, I try not to even look at it as much anymore, because it really was affecting me. At first, I was like, I'm like not like Sebastian. Seeing that stuff, I was like, oh, people hate me. But I reminded myself, I was like, that's good. I mean, because he's a mean dude, and he's supposed to be hated, and I guess that means I'm doing something right.
Yeah, you're playing your character spot on.
What's like the craziest fan experience you've had, just, walking around, being out
very
and about?
recently, actually. It was not in Los Angeles, it was in Virginia. It hasn't been crazy for me at all recently. Ever, actually.
Unless you wear your Warbler suit out.
Right, yeah,
I know.
totally.
Can you
I
imagine?
also feel like I usually have glasses on, and I usually look different than I kind of do on the show. And so I'm not ever, like, I'm never stopped. I'm never, like, recognized, very rarely. But I went home to Virginia to surprise my sister for her 18th birthday.
Oh, fun.
And she rows crew, and I went to a crew regatta that she was having, and it was crazy. It was like a lot of schools there, and they're all high school girls, and that was my first kind of weird fan experience. Other than that, it's been kind of like one person will come up to me and say, like, "Are you on Glee?" They even, like, checked first. They're like, "Are you on Glee?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And then, like, we'll talk for a second, and that's really cool. But it was a little overwhelming, but it was really cool because it was people that liked me on the show, and it was really sweet. But I hadn't experienced it yet, and I wasn't expecting it. So it was a little weird. It was a little weird.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for coming in. It's been so fun meeting you.
Thanks for having me.
And you guys out there watching, make sure to stick with ClevverTV for the ultimate Glee scoop.
Yes.
I'm Jocelyn Davis with Dana Ward and Grant Gustin. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.